the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about I've said it so many times, I'm surprised I haven't messed it up yet.
Yeah.
We're just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basquill, and I am the Kawatsadrak.
I'm John Gilardi, and my pitch is always off. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm Muad'Dib. I was gonna say that, but that's not in this movie yet. But I love all the.
I think they said it.
Okay, what's the ceremony he passes with his hand in there? I was saying
Gom Jabbar.
Yeah, Gom Jabbar. Like I listened to the audiobook, and I'll talk about it more. But the way the narrator says, he goes, "His Gom Jabbar," like he just says it so like
Gom Jabbar.
fucking pronounced. But yeah, we're talking about a little flick.
Talking about. What are we talking about? A little flick,
Talking about practice.
Cinema experience.
Yeah.
We're talking about Frank Herbert's. That was one of my favorite things I saw on the internet. There was like a series of videos of people who were just showing, Mastermind Frank Herbert's Dune, the scientific science fiction landmark novel Dune, where it's like all essentially like the superlatives in front of it and the different iterations they printed of the book Dune, of which we are talking about the film adaptation, the 2021 film adaptation by Denis Villeneuve, maybe.
Villeneuve?
Denis Villeneuve.
Is he French?
I don't think it's Villeneuve.
Is he French?
He is French.
Ah, okay.
And it's Denis Villeneuve, I think.
I saw this at the Alamo. I have a whole riff on that, but more on that later because I always have to talk about the Alamo. But the server is like, hey, it's like this director's known for making his stuff as loud as it can be, and we've turned it down as much as we are allowed to. So just heads up. I was like, hey, I'm all here for it. Like, blast me.
Yeah.
But
why'd you turn it down?
I don't know.
Cowards.
It could have been louder. That's all I know about this director.
It could have been louder for you?
Is what that lady said to me right before the showing. So.
Oh, wow. You've seen Blade Runner 2049?
Oh, yes, I have. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that. Subconsciously.
Yeah. Cesario?
Sicario?
Or Sicario.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of his shit.
He did the first one?
Okay.
Prisoners?
I don't know about that one. I didn't know him by name.
That was really good.
But I love Sicario. That movie's sick. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But anyways,
that movie goes hard.
Dune. It's based off
Dune,
of
baby.
It's an adaptation or theatrical adaptation of, again, Frank Herbert's.
Frank Herbert.
1965 novel.
Justin's uncle. Justin Herbert's uncle.
The football player.
Yeah, the football player.
But yeah, he wrote in 1965. He was like a journalist and columnist and did all these things, and he wrote this science fiction story. I think he researched it for 6 years. He was supposed to write an article about the dunes in Oregon or something like that. And
he said, "Fuck that! I'm doing a book."
And he didn't even write the article. He's like, "Fuck, I got a book idea." And he researched it for 6 years and wrote the book. Or researched it for 3 or 4 years and wrote the book in 3 years.
His magazine's like, hey. He turns in the book. He's like, "Hey, this is fucking great." And they're like, "Yeah, this is good, but we're an agricultural journal."
What's Atreides? What is this?
What is this? House of Arrakis?
Caladan?
What the fuck? What are you?
We want
about,
Oregon, not Caladan.
No. Where were you? We paid for this?
Someone. He was shopping his book around. I don't know the story of how it succeeded, but one guy said no, and he was like, "I wonder if I just made the biggest mistake of this decade for myself, or of the decade." It's one of those classic things, and it makes sense. I mean, this in 1965, about 20 years from World War II. Just
yeah,
the space age stuff is just starting to catch on. Maybe.
Space age.
So it's just cool to watch. And listen to the audiobook as for when it came out.
I just finished the book.
Yeah, I was trying.
The audiobook is from when it came out?
No, the audiobook isn't. I'm just saying,
it's
it's the words from it's the words that were written in 1965, which is just crazy, because sci-fi has been so normalized for us, obviously here in 2021. So it's just cool to see a version of sci-fi.
Yeah.
60 years ago.
I think
it's crazy. 60 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I think because again, I just read it. I just read Dune. And I think that was one of the things that really kind of struck me about it as I was reading it, was, again, reading it in 2021, I've got, oh my gosh, almost 60 years, more than 60, almost 60 years of, sci-fi that has been happening, that has probably been influenced in some ways by Dune.
Yeah.
And it still hit really hard for me because, it's like whenever you see the thing that has been referenced in the movies, you see the thing that's been referenced in Quentin Tarantino, and you finally watch Akira Kurosawa, or you finally watch the thing, and you're like, oh shit, fuck, okay, that's where they were pulling it from.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were pulling it off of.
Yeah,
that was cool. And it was like reading it, I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I love
this.
You
can even see parts where it maybe influenced Game of Thrones, because
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin, sure as I would bet everything in my world, including you, like friends, family, my extremities, everything that guy read that book and that influenced Game of Thrones at some point.
J.R. Martin's like, guess what? I haven't. I'll take everything. I'm taking all your friends, John.
Starts the museum of my life. As payback for me getting that bet wrong.
Here lies John Gilardi's life. Yeah, look, here's the skeleton of his friend he did a movie podcast with. I forgot to feed him.
It's like the collector.
They can't get me.
Just,
but bad at it because he still doesn't finish anything.
No. I don't.
Fucking gotcha, George.
I hesitate to
finish your books.
To call creators lazy, because as someone on the other end, and when people say that, it infuriates me. But I'm not going to say it's laziness, but I don't know if he's efficient.
I don't know. I don't know if he wants to finish it.
Yeah.
Probably
fuck it. I only have 10 more years to live, max. Fuck it.
Yeah.
They made the TV show. You guys hated it. Fuck it. I don't care.
Well, they made the TV show. He made millions. I'm sure he's got millions of dollars. And as long as he hasn't finished that book, he never disappoints anybody.
Yeah.
There's part of it where it's like as soon as he puts it out and people are like, bro, oh my God. It's either going to be the best thing and he'll blow up even more and people get mad again about the show, or it'll be bad and he'll disappoint everybody who are waiting for that one opportunity.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree. I mean the sort of the long range political intrigue. I feel like the Dune. I feel like Dune. And again, I've only read the first book, and obviously watched the first half of the movie, the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll do too. I really hope that they do too.
Got a funny story of that after you're done with your point.
But the way that they do the political intrigue and the way in the book, there's a scene where they essentially they gamify and the words around the dining table becomes so it becomes like a sword fight, and it's just people fucking talking around a table and it's a conversation, and the way that he sort of gamified that and the way I was with it. I was like, oh shit, I can't wait till this person talks to this person, and then it's you're kind of getting both sides of it, but also in the chapter you're kind of getting one side of it, but he flows through perspective so good in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I fucking love it. And also, just real quick, last thing about the book maybe is people were talking about how hard the first 150 pages are or whatever, because it's essentially all exposition for how the world works. But I think it's really interesting because I think it's really good and interesting, just good science fiction exposition, where it's just hey, this is how the world works. you're going to get thrown into the middle of this thing, as well as how these characters who are sort of understanding it, but they're also working to understand it. So I'm going to use them trying to understand it as a way to give you exposition for how this stuff works. And for me, I was like, this is great. I love this.
Yeah. I think I struggled, but I was also because I was like, I'm just putting it on while I drive around and stuff. It was kind of a due diligence. And for me, when the book really turned on was when Yui betrayed Kato, and that was just like
Kato
or Leto, sorry. And so that was just like, all right. I think that's when like the narrative really starts pushing. But the funny thing is, I wasn't trying to push through it, but I didn't know that the movie was only the first half of the book. So as I was driving to the movie, I was at the part where the sandworm's chasing them right before they run into the Fremen.
Jamis and Stilgar.
Yeah, so it was just
the Fremen.
It was just funny. I was like, because I was like looking at the clock, my watch because I knew the movie was wrapping up. I was like, holy shit, this is gonna like I caught up right perfectly almost, you know.
Yeah, and there you go, bud.
And having that, and then watching the movie set up a really good base and like helped me understand and visualize a lot of the things that I missed or whatever when I was driving around or saw
cool.
a wreck or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, I've been enjoying the podcast, the ebook, the audiobook extensively or much more.
John's just to let everybody know, John's coming out as fresh from a sensory deprivation tank. He's been just like staring, thinking about Dune, coming out of his like healing thing, like the Baron Harkonnen. No, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put that on you.
Well,
but just like
that's what I feel like right now.
Coming in fresh.
It's been a long month.
It's been a long.
October, I revenge scheduled. Like there was a revenge.
Stacked it.
Yeah, there was a revenge spending and there was a revenge booking. And I just like, fuck yeah, the world's open. And then just did everything. And now I'm tired. And I'm tired of doing things. But
I did everything and now I'm tired.
Yep. But Dune's seeing the movie was an awesome experience and it was rejuvenating. We were in the very front row of the Alamo on the far left because that was all that was available for this. And it just was so hard to watch the movie like that, but I still was eating it up, and I loved it. Side tangent, Alamo has a season pass system, $20 a month. You can reserve one theater showing a day. So all these fuckers...
One theater?
One showing a day. Okay. And so all these people with the season passes, what I think is happening is they're reserving spots, so they have the option to go later. So they have the option to go to that day, or they're booking their time in advance. And so all that was available was these like front corner seats. And when we're in the theater, there's seats open everywhere, and you can't move your seats. And once the movie starts, you can't fuck around in Alamo. That's just part of the environment. I was just pissed off. Like, that sucked. And it's like it's an experience, or it's a system that's being super exploited, and it's fucking with other people. And then, you know, if Alamo reps are listening to this, get on that. That was bullshit.
Yeah. John has been on here espousing the virtues of Alamo Drafthouse since day one.
Yes. Since
he got up to Raleigh. You know what? We're turning this into an anti-Alamo Drafthouse until John gets what he wants for this. But give him free season membership. But give it to me too.
Yeah, please. But I will not let it. I did not let that ruin the experience. It honestly just made me want to rewatch it. I was going to want to rewatch it again, but it's like I can almost rewatch it. It's a fresh experience because I can see what's happening on the right side of the screen. But
that's funny.
But I loved it. It was rejuvenating. I fucking loved it. I don't know.
It's a fucking show.
I really hope it does well enough to warrant a sequel, and I hope. See, the thing is, it's not a blockbuster. It's not a lowest common denominator film. I think that's its biggest weakness in terms of its ability to be successful, which is a shame.
I mean, you've listened to the first half of the book, though. They really could have, and I think that's one of the things that, and I want to watch David Lynch's Dune now. Yeah. But I think that's one of the things that sort of doomed his Dune. is like that he kind of like leaned into the sort of like the philosophical and like theoretical, like weird, like ideological things in Dune. And you kind of like lean into those. Whereas I feel like Denis just kind of let those are like, hey, those are there. But I do like this movie moves. It is action packed.
Oh yeah.
You know,
well, I think see, that's a hard thing. Is it biased? Because we've read the book and we know the characters, and it's also like it's like candy just to see these things visualized pretty well. You know, I think we're super biased in that.
I mean, absolutely.
And so, because there's a lot of people saying it's boring, the characters I don't care about them, like all these things. And it's like it's not obscure, like, or it's not like isolated, like it's a pretty common thing. And then you have like cinephiles or people who've read the books or just sci-fi junkies or kind of old school people are loving it. So there's a divide there, and it's clearly, I think, because it's lacking in that. But I think a lot of it is shot with a artistic side to it. You know, the flashbacks are kind of relentless, and they hold. You know, and I love it. I loved it. Normally I don't.
The flashbacks or the dreams?
Sorry, the flash forwards. His
his dreams, his visions, his terrible purpose.
Yeah. So I think that's something that sets it aside, and then honestly, you got Zendaya, who's maybe she's there to pull in the
everybody's
younger crowd.
making a big deal about her,
but
everybody's there making a big deal about her only being in it for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't.
Apparently she's only got 7. It's like that's the point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I hear you, because the marketing team did push it as a Zendaya movie.
Yep.
But it's like, no, it's. She's gonna kill it next movie.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm very interested to see what they do with the next film, because it very easily could be. I mean, honestly, two movies is good, especially the way that they did this one. But there is a time jump there will be a time jump in the middle of the next movie.
Okay.
If they do it, there's a possibility that they could do it a different way and not do a time jump.
Yeah.
But I fucking loved it. To be like, it was one of those things where it wasn't quite like watching Parasite and getting surprised, but it is what I can imagine, like watching, I don't know, Star Wars for the first time.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily even right, because it's like I had this idea of Arrakis and Caladan and all these places in my head because I had just read the book. So I'm also incredibly biased. I'm coming at it very, very fresh. I read this book. I slammed through this book because I loved it. And I bought tickets. I saw it in IMAX, and I bought tickets like when they dropped. I was like ready. I was ready to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah.
And so that's just me just saying I'm incredibly biased. But I think that it was like watching like a seminal fucking sci-fi for the first time, where it's like all this stuff is laid out and everything meshes together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I don't know. I really fucking like it.
It felt like a big deal, I guess. And I hope it is, and I hope it's beginning. Like I absolutely loved it, and I want to see more of it. And it's in an age of franchises, like, why can't we have a deep franchise of something made like this, with this kind of story and stuff? Like, why does it always have? I mean, obviously it's the money and the mass media, mass market, but it's like, it's so fresh, it's so needed in today's world of franchises. There are your standalone films and original screenplays and stuff like that. It's there still. I'm not trying to say it's only Marvel movies today, but in terms of franchises, it's like, it'd be so cool to have a franchise and a series of films of a movie like this kind of storytelling and these kind of visuals. Like, oh my God, like it's almost unprecedented. I think, At least in today's world, I guess you could argue maybe Star Wars in a sense was, but it was very blockbustery. But
yeah,
I don't know.
But Star Wars definitely hit those. Like, there's not as much as you can say about the Jedi, but it's like essentially like the Jedi and like sort of that sort of like ideological type stuff is very much like good versus bad. It's pretty clear here. If you have a green lightsaber, you're good. If you have a red lightsaber, you're bad. And like that's essentially like, there's more complex stuff sort of like within it, I guess. But on its surface, it's very easily graspable. But a lot of the stuff with Dune is maybe a little bit more complex. So it's like a little bit more thought-provoking. But it still really is like an action movie at the end of the day. But just kind of like a meditative action movie.
Yeah.
And like, it's really interesting.
That's a good way to put it.
Paul Atreides, Paul versus Luke, where it's like, Paul versus Luke, where Paul is very much like, everyone's like, hey, you're the fucking chosen one, dude. And he's like, what the fuck? I was just trying to live. Jesus Christ. But again, he's highborn, and then you have Luke, who's lowborn, and who ascribes, and then has to fill the role that's given to him. Anyway, there's all sorts of things, but it's very interesting where Paul Atreides is very much sort of the antithesis of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have but I can see how it would be hard to grasp. It would be interesting to have that, and maybe now's the time where people are beginning to doubt stuff. People are beginning to doubt sort of like the rah capitalist, everybody can win, everyone can be good, because that's one of Paul's main things is like, oh, if I win, that means that people are going to die for centuries in my name. Shit. But I got to win, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great usage of seeing the future, and it's always there, in terms of like when our story picks up, and the more like awake he gets with it too, and I don't know.
Yeah. It was really cool.
It's outstanding.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I like the movie a lot, and it's like, I get why it's on HBO Max, but it's like, you gotta see it. You gotta see it in a theater. Like the soundtrack, and the sound is like sound design is incredible. Like it's just so cool. I don't know how to put it more eloquently. It's like it's just sick.
It fucking blasts you too. I mean, and it's not like it just blasts you in such a like. I saw it in IMAX, and man, it was loud.
Yeah.
That's what but it didn't give me a headache, which is good.
Yeah, I got a headache because I was craned my neck at a 45-degree angle to the right and eyes up too. But
I have a funny story about that.
I feel like I've heard this.
Because that's when Avengers Age of Ultron came out.
Yeah, okay.
My grandma passed away, and we were up in Philadelphia to lay her to rest, or however you want to say it. And me and my brother were like, oh, we got to go to we had like a day, so we went to like last second. We went and saw Avengers Age of Ultron. We were in Philadelphia, and it was the first and only time I think that I've sat in the very front row of just like a regular theater, and I was like, this was awful.
Yeah.
And like I watched Avengers Age of Ultron from the bottom right hand corner, essentially I think doing the same thing that you're like, I'm like looking back, and it's like the way that I can see it is if I'm like leaning back looking at these fucking them drop a city on Sokovia.
It's not a bad movie. It's probably one of the. I'd say that'd be one of the tougher ones. At least you didn't do it on a good one, or it's a good movie. Again, it's not bad, but like a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun. Like
I mean,
I think I could do the second row there, but the bitch of it is the seats recline, or the leg rests lift up, but the seats don't recline, and that's like a major, like that would help, but yeah.
Why haven't they done well? Because people would fall asleep.
Oh, well, that's another thing that added that fucking experience. Is there's some dude sleeping, snoring the whole damn time. I'm like, this is an Alamo.
Get out of here.
I don't feel like I need to say something because I think the waiters should be on top of that.
Come on.
This fucker's just snored the whole at first I thought it was the Baron Harkonnen because he's just fat and unhealthy, and I thought it was like his like breathing just being bad, but it kept going. I was like, what the hell is this? This is a person in here. So, yeah.
I will say I'm looking at the box office right now. I don't want to mitigate or I don't want to take away from your terrible experience at the Alamo Draft House with this motherfucker sleeping.
That was it. So,
but I'm looking at the box office, and it's so funny to me, and I feel like I've talked about this already, where the box office, Dune made in its domestic box office for its first weekend, it made like $40 million.
Yeah.
Which is like if you remember pre-COVID, and if something this size made $40 million in its first weekend, no fucking way. Get out of here. No way. Like this, it's like if it made $80 million, are you? Uh oh.
Wasn't 80 typically good? Like 80 to 100 is like huge movie.
Yeah, 80 to 100 is like kind of was the way that we were looking.
Okay.
Hold on, I have. Yeah. I mean, boy.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at but I think it's just
the film's budget was 165
to 165, but then that doesn't count in like marketing or anything like that too, and they had a pretty big marketing push.
Yeah, it'll keep going up.
Could see.
I mean, this is a good movie of a book series that has captured the imagination.
I just hope that it maintains.
Yeah, I hope it maintains, but I mean, it's not a flop. They'll make their money back even if it's in 5 years. But I don't think they'll make the movie money back, especially when the international
they've
market
already
hits. But
they've already made their money as far as box office for like budget and stuff. But it's like it's got to get to a certain point, because it's just because they've with internationally, where it's like internationally they've already got over the budget number, but that is never really an indicator. Not now. I don't know what would be the indicator. Man, I wish that there's got to be some way that I could see. I'm not going to try and look this up right now, but it's low.
Yeah,
it's low for a big event like that.
Yeah, and I'm pissed.
I mean,
I wish people would go out to see it, but that's the thing is like I don't think they'll like it, and it sucks that like good stuff like this, or dare I say it, and I don't believe that this is what it is, but alternative kind of stuff can't exist, or can't exist in a franchise setting. I don't know. It's frustrating, and that's why you get shit like The Rise of Skywalker. So it's just like, and does that mean we're just doing? I mean, there's again quality stuff on a budget, creativity shines in that, whatever. But in terms of
what they did, look at they did with a $165 million budget.
Yeah.
Obviously, look at what they did with this fucking, literature. And imagine if they took an original idea that was similar to this, and instead of making Rise of Skywalker, if they made, I don't fucking know, Children of the Moon or something like that. Or it's just like if they took original idea and they put half, but that movie disappears. That movie's gone now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, there's stuff with the Last Duel where the Last Duel's not performing up to standards. And so like that sort of thing is gone.
Yeah.
That like mid-level theater, because theater is such an experience now. You're not going to get those like mid-range movies.
Yeah. It's disappointing. And I'm obviously a bitch about Rise of Skywalker a lot, but like I'm generally like I'm not a snob. Like I just want to be entertained. I don't care what it is, So I'm not against these types of movies. I love the Fast and Furious movies. I'm a Marvel fan. I've been watching this shit for 15. Like I love this shit, but for maybe it's for everyone. I don't know, but I feel like there is a you need some pacing and types of content. And I think something like this is amazing and good. The same way. I missed the bus on seeing 2049 in theaters, but like I watched it and it's still just the same thing. Like it's just fun to look at and appreciate. Yeah. And if the story resonates with you, then it's even a bonus there. And I think that's such a thing that's missed in movies is that they're moving paintings. They're pleasing images, and obviously that's an argument that came back to like they were like bringing in sound. In movies in the early 30s. So, it's something that's been said for almost 100 years now, but, like movies like this, where it's just like, thinking of the director of photography, like think about that title, what that means, they're making and setting up and composing, paintings that move, and they're doing hundreds of these or maybe even 1,000. And like the time and detail and attention to each one is awesome. And, even you have that in a rom-com or whatever too, whatever. But like something like this, like, it's a different level and it's just fun to look at, it's a whole different thing. And I think that's something that escapes a modern moviegoer. You have the quips and the funniness, and then you have the action, and you're losing that, you're losing it, but there's a lot of
that pretty.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not even necessarily, but the part that like, that scratches your brain visually.
Yeah.
It's like, you kind of hit like the explosion and you kind of like get that funny, but it's like if something, and this is a weird example, but have you seen the Bo Burnham's, not Inside obviously, but we can even talk about Inside, but like the end of the Make Happy, where he does like the Kanye rant and the lights go crazy behind him.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And it's like that's like adding that visual like piece to that largely word, like, because you've got sound, you've got music, you've got words, but then adding that visual piece, creating that image with that, it elevates it, and that's like, it's like, if you can have like seeing Paul Atreides get swallowed up by the bigness of everything around him. And it's just like setting up those rooms, setting up the design of those things, and like letting that be its own character. It just takes it to the next level. It's just, and I'm not saying that.
And then you throw in the top-notch sound too on these moving pictures.
Oh my gosh.
And the music, like. It's a treat for the senses, and whatever attention spans
really
aside,
is it's really
like I don't know, like I wasn't bored on a sensory level, like put the story aside, and again maybe I'm biased and I probably am, but like I don't know, like it was awesome to look at. I don't know, and
it was great. I think it's really interesting you use the word rejuvenating. Because it's like you come out of that, you're like, ooh, yeah, baby, give me some energy. Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of those where you're like, okay, here we go. We're going to the desert, dude.
Also, like, obviously the texture and the costumes and the hard things, walls, armor, like props, like just the texture overall obviously was great. But like, I don't know if it was because I was close, and I don't know, it isn't, because I'm looking at my computer. The grain, like, throughout the whole movie just gave the picture itself such texture on top of that, and I love that. Like, it was obviously I probably noticed a lot more than anyone else because I was 2 feet from the screen, but I thought that was great, and it really added to just the experience and the flavor, and that's just a little different, I don't know, but
was there anything, as we're about halfway through here, was there anything that you didn't like?
Yeah.
Was there anything
I was about to,
that was bad?
Yeah, I was about to actually do the transition to this.
Boom.
Good timing. It's like we've almost done this.
Look at us.
80 times.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Yui motivation switch was too simplified. I get it, and I think it's probably nice in a movie with all the exposition and the quick stuff just to make the explanation simple, like, oh, they have my wife. But I just didn't buy it in the sense that they should have known that, or that he could have relayed that and they could have helped him or something. Like that just seems like such a detail that just was weak to me. But that was probably my biggest qualm.
That one, especially because he's got the blue diamond of the Imperium, which means he's like been like trained or something like that, and he can't betray. Like there's some sort of thing where he's in the book. They're like they immediately because that's a whole thing. Whenever the Hunter Seeker goes through, and the Hunter Seeker, Paul gets the Hunter Seeker, and they're like, oh shit, someone's trying to fucking do some assassination stuff. And they're like immediately dismiss him as a candidate because he's got the blue diamond. That means that he's been like mind wiped, or like he's like he can't disobey orders. There's something where he's like part of the Imperium.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but again, biased. I was like, okay, yes, I know this stuff about him.
Yeah.
Which is...
I think it was fine. I think it was needed, honestly, and I think like that's the kind of sacrifice towards just a streamlined story. That's fine, and there's probably a million instances of that, an adaptation,
I thought they did a really good...
that I normally wouldn't notice, and it's minor, but again, it's just like that doesn't make sense. Like they should have known better, and there's no indication of hubris with the Atreides. It's just like that'd be one thing. They're I guess they're too trusting, but like that doesn't connect in that way, and so it doesn't. It just seems random, I guess. Like it just seemed like it was written as a means to an end, instead of the way it is in the book, where Leto is a means to an end, just for Yui's purpose, whatever.
He's like, yes, I'm really sorry about this, but and that's one of the things too, is that he, in the book, he's like, I know that she's gone, Anyway, not trying to spoiler the book for anybody.
Yeah.
But I thought that they did a really good job. I don't know. Hold on, bad stuff. What did I not like?
The marketing.
What did I not like?
It was interesting. Like they made it into a Zendaya thing, and then when I started the book, I didn't watch a lot of the trailers just because I wanted to. I like to watch the trailers right before the movie, literally right before. Sometimes, not even at all. But for something like this, where I want to see the visualization, I need to see what they look like. But for memory, I was like, wait, is Jessica in this movie? Because it's just Zendaya. Here's Poe Dameron a little bit, and then Timothée Chalamet. I was like, was there Jessica? Like, so that
did they cut Jessica out?
Yeah, so that was like, it's not really the movie, but it's like the marketing is just like, what the hell? I'd say she's a main character. Like it's Paul
but she's hard to market because she's a weird character to market.
Yeah, I get it. I get it, but it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know who the knock's on, but it's just like, oh, that's weird. But yeah. Sorry, what about you?
I mean, I think no. I think that too. It's like essentially from like a marketing standpoint, it's like people like Rebecca Ferguson, I think her name is a fantastic actress, but she's not necessarily known. But Zendaya is known.
Yeah.
So it's like
she sticks out.
And I think too. I think it's. I mean, again, incredibly biased because I knew the book, but I thought that Zendaya was in it enough for. I thought that they did a good job of stretching her stuff out and making it dreamlike and good and stuff.
I think that felt good.
Let me think of bad stuff.
I got a bad one maybe. If
I have one, but it's kind of like. The part at the very end, I don't know. He's supposed to cry, and that's supposed to be like a really big deal because he doesn't know their customs.
Yeah.
And so when he cries because he does this, that's an incredibly big deal for them because it's a gift of moisture. and he did do a little cry. It looked like I thought that he did a little cry, but they didn't make a big deal out of it, which I was like,
well, isn't that part of the?
I
think that's part of the funeral ceremony, which I have a hard time picturing them starting the next movie off with a funeral ceremony. So I think I would agree. Then that's a pretty big moment.
Maybe.
That's just not there.
You're
Or
right, that is a part of the funeral ceremony.
or maybe
or
he meets Jameis's wife, and then maybe that makes him cry, and she's like, oh shit, you're the real deal, or something. Or maybe it's some public ceremony.
Okay.
So maybe they make the wife handoff a public ceremony and combine it in the siege or whatever, so where everyone can see it. Maybe that's something they'll do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they do have him in that bag, so they could be heading up to the siege and to do the thing.
Yeah.
Where that they, because it's his water. That's the thing. It's like you kill a person, that's your water.
You got to distill the water.
Yeah. So that might be maybe my bad. Honestly, John, I fucking love this movie. I think the acting is great. I thought the adaptation of all the mind game stuff and seeing the Gom Jabbar. Like I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I thought Lady Jessica was so cool, like so good. The way that they played her, the way that they did. I was like, oh, it's so cool with the ASL, the sign language.
Yeah, I love the secret language stuff.
That was so fucking cool, and I was like, that's fucking a great way to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And to have like those sort of like internal conversations,
or just
without. That's so cool.
The way they did the voice pitch and the commands, like the witchcraft.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Before we go back to sucking the movie's dick, I did want to see, even if it's just one thing of them walking the streets of the city, but I get why you don't see the Fremen, because they're mystery and stuff, but like maybe to see the people on the streets for a second in the city, you see them praying and looking at the trees, and it's not what their lives are, it's not their everyday. And I was just be a little curious, like, because it's just like it's super hyper fixated on this royal family from this perspective, the whole time, and their military, so it'd be cool just to see a second, and they touch on it for a second where Leto and I think Gurney are looking out in the city and like, it's so quiet, like it's weird, and it's addressed.
Yeah,
and I buy it, but I just would like, it just feels a little detached, and maybe it's because they're supposed to be super out of touch because they're just there to be exterminated. But I don't know. And then also, and maybe it's later on in the book, but I'm confused why. The Harkonnens just left. They just they took care of this place, presumably. The trees, the ancient trees that they water, they took care of.
Yeah.
Like, why did they just go and destroy everything? And I guess they had to an extent, but like, so it felt. I'm just confused. Like, it's supposed to. It's a weird manufactured conflict to have.
Yeah, and that's
for me to leave my home. So you move into my home, and then I kill you because you're while you're in my home, not even because you're in my. It's just like, it's a weird thing. I buy it enough to enjoy it, but it's just like, it's one of those things where you start to think about it, and I'm sure there's explanations, but if you just look at it the surface as the movie presents it, it's kind of like, what? So
see, and this is why I have issues coming up with gripes, because I like sort of know the stuff, and it's like, so some of those things I didn't get a chance to I guess I haven't had a chance to look at it from a critical eye.
Yeah.
So I apologize, John.
I don't care.
but I do, because it is.
I'm happy that you're happy that you like it.
Bro, I want to tell you about my experience with it, is because I got these tickets and I sat right in the middle. I probably should have been a little bit higher, but I was like right in the middle, and like the fifth or sixth row back, if you're counting the front 3 rows. And I was right in the middle, and I was like, when they were flying, I was flying. It was great. It was amazing. It was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of like another positive, while we're at it, I love the technology, the representation of the world, and the technology, the gauges, on the ornithopters, the video cassette thingies that he's watching, even the Fremen tech with the thumper.
Yeah. It's such a fucking cool. Do you know? So do you know why any of that stuff is?
Why what? The way it looks?
Why the technology is the way it is?
Yeah, I think it was
lore.
humanity relied on it too much, so they're still tech, but they don't. It's still they try to make it as analog and whatever as much as they could or whatever. So,
which is such a cool way to get that, where it's like, because it's like 10,000 something. It's like they've been through and they fought AIs, and they were like, you know what? We went through Terminator. We don't need to do that again. Okay, so all of our stuff. And that's what the mentats are. Because we didn't really get into any of the mentats either.
Yeah.
Like, we had Thufir and Piter was there.
Piter was just there to be there. He was almost fan service.
He was just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was played by Polka Dot Man.
There. I mean, yeah. David Dalbanchan or something.
He's just Polka Dot guy forever now. The guy from Ant-Man and Polka Dot Man.
Well, to me, he's always going to be Rachel Dawes from The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He's that guy.
Yep.
That Harvey Dent takes, and it's like, Batman's like, he's got a crazy person. What are you fucking gonna get from him, idiot?
Yeah.
Fucking Harvey, come on, bud. Yo, real quick, how do you feel about the Batman trailer?
It kind of seemed hokey to me. I didn't love it.
Okay, good.
I thought the first one felt good, and the second one I was like, this kind of feels shitty. I don't know. It was weird.
I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings on it. I'm like excited for it, I guess, but also it's like, it feels like they just did the Dark Knight trailer, but they colored everything red instead of blue.
It's a new color for them.
Like, yeah.
Well,
so,
to be fair,
I don't know.
I thought the Suicide Squad trailer was shitty and cringy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love that movie, so you can't put too much stock in it, and it's.
No, I know, but I was like, huh, okay, yeah. I guess it's cool.
Yeah, I think the first trailer was better. The teaser was better than the trailer, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think so as well. Yeah, man, this movie was really good. I really liked Dune. I really liked the casting. I really liked...
Yeah, Skarsgård as the Baron was great. And
they did such a good job with the Baron. I was not necessarily worried, but I was like, how are they going to make this? And he was horrifying. And also, at like some points, I like kind of forgot that he was Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And like they did such a good job with the makeup and or CGI that was with it, and it was disgusting, and I hated it, and I loved it.
Yeah, it
was great.
Favorite shots. I had two favorite shots. Was like the establishing wide shot of the table with him eating with his court, but he's just eating, being a gluttonous, and then he had Leto's like naked, paralyzed body, just super cool.
Yeah.
Like, and it just hung there, and it was a painting. Like to my point earlier.
Yeah,
and it was such a good. Like there were so many stories of their relationship and the history of their houses and the anger and the feud, and you could pick so much things up just from that one shot, Yeah. You have like a noble, glorious dude in shape, but he's naked and exposed and paralyzed. So, like there's so many conflicting, extreme opposites there. And then you have just a gluttonous dude with people who don't respect him, but he has people with him, and he's not alone. Like it's like who's alone here? Actually, it's just like it was awesome. And then
it says, "Hey, that picture said 1,000 words, bud."
I mean, yeah, exactly, as they say. And then the Baron cowering in the corner, just that establishment when he had the shield.
Top.
Yeah, that it was so simple. I think that was a better. There's tons of things that were better in the movie and in the book, but in terms of the movie, that was one of the examples. Like, I like that better than him just narrowly escaping the room. Like, him cowering is. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think so. That's one of the things that I'll say too. So sort of as we sort of wind down here, it's like, I loved it. Great. But also, if you feel like, if you go through this and we haven't ruined it too much for you or whatever, and you haven't watched this movie for whatever reason, you don't need to read the book to get it. I mean, there's some of the stuff where it's like, oh yeah, like I know the stuff about Dr. Yue and like some of this, like why this is happening. But for the most part, the stuff that they cut out of the book, it's not that I don't feel like it needed to be cut out, but also it makes for a much more concise and fun story. And it just like, you just really run through it.
Yeah.
Like once, like it's a 2-hour and 40-minute movie that you just go. Like it
didn't feel like a drag for me.
It's got, yeah. But I think, again, just because it's based off of this book, you don't need to know this book. This is a fun action sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It's like if you
awesome visuals. Star Wars has its sand planet shit. Tatooine. I don't know why I said it like so casually.
It's fucking sand planet.
But it's so minimal.
And Jakku.
It's so minimal and it's so singular in its design. And I guess this is too, but it just like it lives here and it makes it interesting for 2 hours. That they're there. So yeah, it's just cool to live on a desert planet. Because I guess you're gonna naturally compare it to Star Wars, and just Star Wars, you're there, and it feels like the first level in a video game. Like the boring level, and then you get out, and then it's exciting. It feels like the tutorial level. Where this, it makes the Dune. It is the set piece. It is the cool place. Like you're like. Caladan is boring, and Gaiety Prime, like you want to see Dune, you want to see Arrakis, and so I don't know. That's just an observation, not a knock on either.
It's a good observation. I like it.
And then just a final positive because I have it in the background, but the relationship between Duncan Idaho and Paul, the way it's portrayed with Jason Momoa and Tim, like the way they're just so fucking happy to see each other, and they always touch each other. Like there's like their affection, like their touching affection, brotherly uncle son or uncle nephew relationship, whatever you want to call it. It's just, I love the way it's shown, and it's so aggressively like happy to see each other each time. Yeah. And they have like 3 reunions throughout the movie, so it's funny. I just like that aggressive. I like when things are aggressive and not in a non-traditional like fighting aggressive is one thing, but just like aggressive affection. It's just it's funny. Yeah. I don't know. But
it's like, I love you so much I'm yelling at you.
Yeah, it's just funny. But yeah,
I also really liked too. I mean, again, the way that they portrayed the relationships, like again, like in the adaptation of the book, the way that they changed the relationships and like all this stuff, because I think in the book there's only so many times that Paul and Duncan get to hang out, but Duncan is talked about a lot, and he's like, Duncan's a fucking dope dude. And I'm sure that Denny was like, how do we get Duncan hanging out more? We got to get Duncan in here hanging out more.
Yeah.
And, and the same with they condensed all of those like internal conversations with the self and like sort of like the half said things in moments. And they condensed them down beautifully and like made it's like, all right, fuck, I get the same feel. Like Paul and his father's relationship, Jessica and Duke's relationship. Like, I mean, I really can't. I mean, I could go on and on about it clearly, but I just watch this movie, man.
Yeah.
Just watch this movie and enjoy it, bro.
Yeah, I think it's funny. We've reviewed 2 gloryingly awesome things back to like things that we just loved a lot, like Ted Lasso and then this. So it's like,
oh yeah.
But it's like Ted Lasso I wanted to just keep talking about. And I want to keep talking about this, but it's like I just want to watch it.
I want to watch it again.
I'm done talking about it. Like I'm just excited about it, and I want to go back and be there. Like I could keep talking, but yeah.
But but also I think part of it is too is we're just gonna keep jerking it off.
Yeah, and you only can take that so much.
I would have to watch it again. I would probably have to watch it 2 more times to be like, guess what? Here I have thought of a gripe. I've thought of a real gripe that isn't me being like,
well, please.
Oh, this isn't.
Please bring them back
like
up.
Sort of manufactured.
Whenever we're doing another podcast.
Whenever.
I bring up Rise of Skywalker on Game of Thrones all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's noticed that.
Yeah, the Battle of Winterfell was idiotic. That's my insert. I think that was worse than the Dany switch, betrayal, snap, whatever you want to call it. I think it was just so dumb. Anyways, I gave this 4.5 out of 5. It could be 5 stars, honestly. It's just arbitrary numbers, but I really loved it. I love the carry-all. I love that sequence. I love the visualization of that. I love the worn-out industrial look. That's just something I'm throwing out there because I see it on the screen now. I could say that about everything on the screen. I love the way the things shoot out. Oh god, it's so cool. Yeah, but that gave a 4.5. Whatever the teeth are from the sandworms are called.
Oh man, the knives, the Chris knife.
Yep, that's it. 4.5 of those. What about you?
I'm gonna give it. Boy. I'm gonna give it 5 gumdra bars out of 5.
Nice.
It's a lot of pain. A lot of pain to get to the pleasure. I don't. Not gumdra bars. Yeah, gumdra bars. No. I'll give it 5 Lisan Al Gadeeb.
5 Timothée Chalamet.
No. The little. That's the name of the little rat.
Oh yes.
The little.
What he's named after.
That's the name of the little. Yeah, that's what the name he chooses, and they're like, "Oh wow."
Well, yeah, Mua.
You just chose that.
Or Musa or whatever is the name. He's only called within that group, right? And then Adib or Mua. Yeah, Mua or something, or Mu, and then Adib is the rat mouse.
Yes,
I think.
Yes, something like that.
Muad'Dib.
We did a bad job with all those pronunciations.
Yeah.
But I'll do it a 5 out of 5. Obviously, I love it. I'm going to see it again. I saw it on IMAX. I'm going to see it in PDX next, and then I'll see it in standard definition, and then I'll watch it on HBO.
Yeah, I'm watching in the background, but I think I'll watch it in my house, blasted the way.
Yeah. Well, you got that.
The way Denis Villeneuve, whatever, intended.
And old Hans Zimmer slinging that score at us.
Yeah, I like the casting of Kynes too. I think the gender flip. It's fine and cool. I
love it.
The actor did a great job, and learning the, I guess not so much a twist, but who Cheney is also. It's like, oh shit, and then I'm just curious to see what that dynamic and relationship comes, like how that develops in the book, and then I want to see it develop, or that relate like those dynamics in the movie too with Zendaya. So let me transition to what we've been watching with there's a meme.
Yeah, what have you been watching, dude?
Well, before that, there's a meme of there's the Spider-Verse stuff, right? And there's a meme where Tom Holland goes to Miles Morales the movie universe, and he shows him a picture of his Mary Jane. And he's like, "Oh, Zendaya!" Like it's just like Zendaya is just like an absolute almost anywhere, or just this concept that she's just so present because she's Zendaya. I don't know. It's great meme.
I like that,
and I think it's like that's probably why they pushed her, because she's just Zendaya. Everyone knows who she is.
Yeah, she's Zendaya, dude.
But I mean, I'll go first because I haven't watched shit.
Go first.
I haven't watched anything. Besides Dune.
Besides Dune.
Like I said, I've been busy. You can look at my letterbox. I've watched 2 movies this month, and it's criminally low for me. But I watched Dune.
That's low, dude.
I watched Dune and Venom. That's been my month.
Venom.
Momentum, adrenaline, or something. But what about you?
I have been watching. I watched Voyagers.
Is that sci-fi?
It's a sci-fi movie where they thought it was a good idea to to breed kids and then isolate them so that then they could be the crew of a ship. And then they decided to send them up into space when they were like 15 or 16, and they were like, "This is good." And they had one adult with them. And somehow they were like, "This is a great idea," and it wasn't.
Was the movie good? Even if it wasn't a good idea?
It wasn't. It was interesting. Like, again, it was like they did a haphazard, like, adaptation of Lord of Flies in space. But, like, it was weird. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good.
Sure, the concept's, like, dope. Or not dope, but, like, interesting.
The idea of it, like, I feel like it needed to go through another layer.
Mm-hmm.
But because the idea of it is like, okay, listen, if we're going to get to this place, it's going to take 80 years for us to get there. How are we going to have both people who are trained to land and trained to fly this thing last that long if we don't have the eponymous, like, you know, cryo freeze or whatever? Like, if that's never a reality, we have to have people on both ends. It's like, all right, yeah, that is cool. I like that. I think that they I don't know, but I watched that. I watched that. It's something I think about now because I'm like, that's kind of cool, and the design of stuff is kind of cool. How do they make that better? And then also,
I mean, honestly, like a foreign film market picks up, like, they should just pick up, like, the cool concepts and make them better. Like the opposite of U.S. remakes, where the U.S. takes awesome concepts from foreign films and makes them for the U.S. market, and they always suck. Let's do the opposite, like, where they take
the heart of this is gone.
Yeah, they take the cool concepts of bad U.S. movies and then make their own good. Like, let's do it. You know, why not?
There's so much to do that. Like, come on. They probably do it more interestingly too.
Yeah, you got me.
But with having less budget.
Yeah.
You know, because Lily Rose Depp was in this, and Ty Sheridan was in this, and Colin Farrell was also in it as the lone adult. It's on HBO Max.
I might watch it. I just like sci-fi.
Yeah.
So I need to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not
you need to watch
I'm trying not to do stuff as much.
Yeah, don't do so much stuff.
So I can watch movies and breathe. So. Yeah.
And then I finished Midnight Mass too, which
Nice.
I feel like I've already maybe mentioned, or maybe not.
Can't remember. You've mentioned,
but I finished it.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't think those things are up my alley. Like, no, because we talked about this because there's like I still don't think it's quite a John Speed. Yeah, like you said that, my girlfriend said it, and no one's recommended it to me. But it's not because they didn't like it. So it's like, I'm not feeling it. No one's telling me to go feel it, so I'm not gonna feel it. I don't know. There's a smoother way to say that. There's a good ditty there.
There's a good ditty.
But yeah,
there's a good old ditty there. But I think that's what I've been watching. I feel like I watched something else, but I don't know what it is.
Patriots dropping a 50 burger on the Jets. I watched that.
I did. I saw that. I was like, what are we doing? There were so many games from this weekend.
I love that Chiefs getting spanked.
What?
I fucking love them not doing well. But
and then the Dolphins almost won, and I was like, wait a second, what are you doing there, Dolphins?
Yeah.
And then they lost, and I was like, okay,
they've had a tough season.
That makes more sense.
They're better than their record reflects. They're probably
who else? The Panthers got stomped, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Not that the Panthers are like a great team, but I was just like,
I think they opened up with an easy schedule.
Yeah, I guess that wasn't the way that I expected them to get mashed.
Yeah. I'm going to Panthers-Patriots games, which I think that game will have happened by the time this comes out. But enough about football. That's all I have watched. But anyways, thank you guys for listening or watching.
Yeah.
Go check out the shirt at jtmerch.com. We got a little Stinky Popcorn Boys shirt. It's yellow and
Stinky Popcorn Boys shirt.
It's a good shirt. It's comfy. It's a Bella canvas shirt.
It is.
Yeah, go check it out. And
check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, again, thank you guys so much. Hit us up on Twitter or wherever you do social media stuff. I guess not whatever. I guess Twitter and YouTube is where we are. We're not on we don't have an Instagram.
No. Just post pictures over thumbnails of just videos.
But yeah, tell us what you think we should watch next. You know, tell us why you hated Dune and we shouldn't make any more adaptations of things.
And then we'll tell you why you're wrong.
We'll tell you why you're wrong, and I'll tell you why you've hurt me physically by saying such a thing. and I'll just try and be like understand and be nice, but I will not understand what you're saying.
I'll smile and nod
if that's the course,
and say bless you.
If that's
bless
the
your
course
heart.
that you want to take, bless your heart.
It's a good time.
As
to say
they
it.
say in Arrakis, bless your heart. As they say in Arrakis,